Hey everybody, welcome back to my book chat channel. So this midweek book video is going to be a book review um, and going in line with the books that I had talked about reviewing. We're going to do the next one, which is the Three Sisters Island Trilogy by Nora Roberts, and I'm going to do all three books in one go. So the first book is called Dance Upon the Air, the second one is called Heaven and Earth, and the third one is called Face the Fire. Please disregard the kid noises in the background. So as per usual, I will go through the synopsis of each one of the stories and then go from there. So, Dance Upon the Air. When Nell Channing arrives on charming Three Sisters Island, she believes that she's finally found refuge from her abusive husband, and from the terrifying life she fled so desperately 8 months ago. But even in this quiet, peaceful place, Nell never feels entirely at ease. Careful to conceal her true identity, she takes a job as a cook at the local bookstore cafe and begins to explore her feelings for the island sheriff, Zach Todd. But there is a part of herself she can never reveal to him, for she must continue to guard her secrets if she wants to keep the past at bay. One careless word, one misplaced confidence, and the new life she's carefully created could shatter completely. Just as Nell starts to wonder if she'll ever be able to break free of her fear, she realizes the island suffers from a terrible curse, one that can only be broken by the descendants of the three sisters, the witches who settled the island back in 1692. And now, with the help of two other strong, gifted women and the nightmares of the past haunting her every step, she must find the power to save her home, her love, and herself. So that is the synopsis for Dance Upon the Air. And Book 2 synopsis, Heaven and Earth. Ripley Todd just wants to live a quiet, peaceful kind of life. Her job as a sheriff's deputy keeps her busy and happy, and she has no trouble finding men when she wants them, which lately isn't all that often. She's perfectly content except for one thing. She has special powers that both frighten and confuse her, and though she tries hard to hide them, she can't get them under control. Distraction soon arrives in the handsome form of McAllister Book, a researcher who comes to investigate the rumors of witchcraft that haunt the Three Sisters Island. Right from the start, he knows there's something extraordinary about Ripley Todd. It's not just her blazing green eyes and her sultry smile. There's something else. Something he can detect, but she'll never admit. Fascinated by her struggle with her amazing abilities, he becomes determined to help her accept who she is and find the courage to open her heart. But before Ripley and Matt can dream of what lies in the future, they must confront the pain of the past, for Three Sisters shelter centuries of secrets and the legacy of danger that plagues them still. So that's the brief synopsis for Book 2, and then diving into the third one, Face the Fire. Mia Devlin knows what it is like to love with her whole heart, and then watch your love walk away. Years ago, she and Sam Logan shared an incredible bond built on passion, legend, and fate. And then one day he fled Three Sisters Island, leaving her lost in memories of the magic they shared and determined to live without love. The new owner of the island's only hotel, Sam has returned to Three Sisters with hopes of winning back Mia's affections. He is puzzled when she greets him with icy indifference, for the chemistry between them is still sizzling and true. Angry, hurt, and deeply confused, Mia refuses to admit that a passion for Sam still burns in her heart. But she'll need his help and his powers to face her greatest, most terrifying challenge. And as the deadline for the breaking of and as the deadline for breaking a centuries-old curse draws near, they must take the first steps toward destiny and come together to turn back the dark. So, quite a mouthful between all three books and the brief synopsis for each one. So, I think I've done a review for this one in the past on my other channel, but I'm going to do it again. And yeah, so this is a book series that I really, really enjoy. I have read this one, I don't know, so many times. I think I read it at least once a year, sometimes twice. especially now that I have access to the audiobook, more than likely it's one that I will reread even more. For me, this is a book series that when I get into a slump and don't know what to read, or just feel in a bit of a rut and just, stuck, this is a book series that I read and listen to, mostly because there's so many different parts of it that help shake me out of that stuck feeling, whether it's the building bonds of friendship and family, or the little bits of romance that are put in together and how the couples come together. But it's also because I really enjoy the other elements that are brought into it. There is a sense of history, there is a sense of magic, and all the legend and information that goes along with that. And it's something that I really enjoy. So mixing all of those elements into one story usually is something that will pull at me pretty quickly. And so this is one of my favorite series. It is one of the, actually, it's the first Nora Roberts series that I was introduced to back when I was in grade school. And I have reread this series a bunch of times since then. I really like each story. The first book is a lot like, for anyone who's ever read or watched Sleeping with the Enemy, but with Julia Roberts. That story is a lot like this one, in terms of the abusive husband and the escape and all the events that go with it. It's a lot like that. In fact, you could probably draw many parallels to it, with the exception, of course, of the witches and magic bits that go with it. Heaven and Earth, definitely one. I'd say there's nothing. How to phrase it? It's definitely one of those stories where you're given a gift and you're aware of that gift, but you're fighting it because you're afraid of it. So while there's nothing overly unique about each one of the characters, in the sense that it's there's the typical obstacles for them to accomplish, I like the uniqueness of all the different elements that get put together. Again, the bonds of love and friendship and sense of community that get built and put together. I also like the other elements and bits that are put into it. The business aspect of, Mia building her book cafe and learning how that gets done, and the different parts in which each sister or each woman plays, and then how the six of them between their other halves and the women come together as a whole. And then, of course, the secondary characters that come alongside that, and there's a great deal of humor that gets put into some of that as well. So for those of you who like a simple, easy read, that's got a little bit of magic, that has a little bit of romance, that has a little bit of the magical elements that lead back to the witches in Salem and some of the different stories that break off from there, this is definitely a book that I would highly recommend. For me, it's a 5-star read and will always be a 5-star read. As I said, this is one that I reread quite often, and actually I'm probably due for it again, because the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm reliving it in my mind and want to listen to it again. So I might just have to do that. So I thank you all so much for tuning in. I'd be very curious to know if any one of you has ever read this book before and what your thoughts on it were. So I thank you again for tuning in, and I will be back soon with another book review. I thank you all so much for supporting my channel, and I will talk to you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.